right out. Awesome.
good.
I love
Thanks for having us.
that all of you are here.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Super cool. So let's just start from one side to the other, and you guys can all introduce yourself, and then whoever you would like to tell everybody about your band, you can pick however you guys kind of. I'm sure you have a person like this.
This is Rod, bass player, just saying what's up to everybody and saying hello to my son, Matt.
How we doing? Nick, I'm the drummer. Also do some backing vocals. Rock on.
Hey everybody, this is Max, lead guitar, backing vocals. Thanks for having us.
What's up, everyone? I'm James. I'm lead vocals and guitar.
So, thank you guys for coming on today and kind of giving our readers and our listeners a chance to get to know you. So, tell us about Ryder and how you guys got started and kind of what your inspirations were, things like that.
Absolutely. Ryder has been around for a while. This iteration of the band has only been around since January of this year. It's been a wild ride. It's been awesome. We put out 2 singles, no pun intended, by the way. We put out 2 singles, Southbound and Queen Viper's Kiss. We got another single on the way, and our album Menagerie comes out January 31st, and check it out.
How, and you guys can kind of pick who you want to answer. You can all take turns answering however you want. What brought you to music, and kind of who are some of your inspirations?
Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I mean, I always loved music. I grew up in a house with music playing all the time. And some of the earliest stuff that I got into was Iron Maiden, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, stuff like that.
Nice. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've been drumming for about 20 years and kind of just getting every sort of kind of influence that I can from any drummers that I'm watching. But my favorite drummers are probably Chad Smith, Travis Barker, and I'm a Ringo guy. I love him.
Nice.
And for me, I've been playing guitar for about almost 22 years now. It started I just wanted to impress my friends by playing, because nobody else in my class at the time was playing any kind of instruments like that. I mean, maybe like a clarinet or something, but I wanted to do something different. And I got into like records because my parents had records, old records lying around, and like Beatles and Hendrix and Queen, things like that. So seeing that, and also still growing up in the MTV age, just seeing music videos and on VH1 as well, and things with like Van Halen and Jimmy Page and stuff. So it's kind of cliche, but you look at that and it just kind of sparked for me. That moment was kind of like, I want to do that. That's so cool. I would love to be on that stage. And but really it stemmed from kind of like wanting to stand out in class. Wasn't the most popular kid, wanted to do something different, and started kind of as a half-ass goof, but I stuck with it. And here we are, over 20 years later.
Nice. Yeah, I started off very young. One of my favorite Disney movies was Fantasia, so that I started off very, very young. I picked up the saxophone. I was a jazz tenor sax player for a few years in school. And right around about 15, 16, I picked up the guitar and I started playing. And from there, here we are.
Nice. Something I feel like when bands try to they want to capture that sound, that certain sound that was, late 70s, early 80s, or just in that, like, it's finally coming back, right? Because we grew up listening to it and loved it, and everyone thought we were weird, but type of thing. And I'm older than I look. I'm sure you probably are. Like, how old are you? I'm 36, so I promise I'm not.
We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, so we kind of grew up listening to that stuff, and it was cool to us. But like, what I've noticed is that a lot of people, when they're trying to capture that sound, is it's kind of difficult, right? Because like I think I saw an interview where you kind of talking about you didn't really want to sound like anybody else, and so you kind of have to pave your way to. What do you guys feel like that you've done to kind of make sure that your sound was different than just your typical what you would have heard on the radio then?
Honestly, it just authenticity. We're true with each other. We're not sitting here and trying to, be different than who came before us. We actually embrace our influences. We wear our influences on our sleeve, and we add our own spin to what we do. And every song that you hear, especially the ones coming out, it's a combination of the four of us. So pretty much that.
It's
Nice.
really
And
hard. It's really hard to like say. The reality is you can't really sound different in the way that like, oh, it's never been done before. I mean, every decade has gone through that, but I at least in my opinion, it's all been done. I mean, what else is there unless it's some crazy abstract genre that? But this is rock and roll, and there's only so many notes, So it's just a
true.
combination of those chords, and we don't really. I mean, at least for me, but I'm sure you guys agree. We don't really look at it as because you mentioned the sound you're going for. The thing is, we don't really look at it that way, and like we're going for a sound. We just
Okay.
kind of play, we just play, and it's subconscious. Whatever we grew up on, whatever we listen to, whatever we absorb, it always kind of takes its own life, its own form of life in what you put out. So, yeah, we don't really think about it. It just kind of comes out, and there's a familiarity to our sound, but I think that as similar as we all are in terms of what we are into, there's a little bit of differences here and there. So you add those all together, and the combination is what puts out something unique. So I would say what we have is unique in the way that it took these four guys to put this material out, and there's only we're the only versions of us that exist. So we put this out, and this combination of guys, and you can't replicate that. So we're proud of that.
Do you feel like there is a way to classify your music, or because there are a lot of bands that don't, they don't want a label even to
Yeah.
be under just the general like rock umbrella is kind of like, not really their thing. Do you have like a specific kind of
I would
genre that you
say
feel like you fit into, or do you kind of avoid that whole?
I would just say we take a lot of influence from other genres, but at the end of the day, it's hard rock,
Yeah.
rock and roll.
Yeah,
You know?
rock and roll.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote the great Lemmy from Motorhead. He just said, "We're rock and roll. That's it."
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. I think it was something I was just talking about with I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Gizmos or not, but I interviewed Eddie Flowers from the Gizmos just earlier, and we were talking about that, how people are just making this effort to have these labels, and is like, this is post retro industrial punk country, well, and you're just like, that's a mouthful, and especially as a writer, it's almost like, well, where do you put somebody when they want to be all over the place? And then
Yeah.
I kind of avoid putting people in categories now, though. It's kind of
Where do you put a genre like that in a record store?
Yeah.
right. It's like a
So
14-word label, and you're just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, why pigeonhole yourself?
Yeah.
that's
Look, we say we're rock and roll. I mean, we're like table salt. We go with anything, you know?
well, what is something that you feel like you want people to know about you?
I think specifically for this album coming up, I want everybody, potential listeners, to know like that if you like rock and roll, there's something for everybody in that album.
Mhm.
We have softer stuff, we have bouncier stuff, we have straight like zoom going,
Yeah.
we have heavy headbangers. So it really like the title Menagerie really like proves what it is just a collection of all of our musical influences over our lives coming together in this one album. And so for anybody who's interested in rock and roll, we think that there's going to be something in there that you're going to love.
Absolutely.
And we hope it's all of it. But,
Yeah.
but if it's not, there's definitely one thing for everybody. For a rock fan, there's something there for you.
That's awesome. With all the changes that you've seen over the years, from where music used to be, or how the music business used to run, and then the way that technology has changed things, and like AI has come into play, and all these things are starting to change.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future of music, and what's happening?
I'm kind of scared, to be honest with you. Um, because I think that the amount of just amazing product that there is out there in terms of like gear, right? So just the average Joe can buy such good quality things at an affordable price and record in his bedroom now, right? So it's a double-edged sword. That doesn't help the industry, the recording industry. I actually came from that world, so I can attest to that. But at the same time, who's to deny anybody for wanting to make music and record something? So they have that outlet. So I'm all for that. That's a great thing. But at the same time, technology, I don't blame the technology. I blame how people use it. And this whole AI thing is kind of scary because I'm starting to see images and things that are just, I don't even know if it's real. At first I was like, I could tell it's fake. Now I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to kind of really look at it. Same thing with music. They're making these AI things of like one artist singing another band's song and it's their voice, but it's, you know, it's all AI. And I fear that that's going to limit people's creativity because they're going to rely too much on something to make it for them, and like Chat GBT to write an essay for them, you know? So
Yeah.
music is art. You know, I wouldn't want a machine to paint a picture that's in a museum. I want to feel somebody's emotion and that art. Same thing with music. Everything that I connect to musically, someone put their heart out on that recording. So I don't know. It's kind of scary, but we can't control what anybody else does. We can control what we do. And what you hear on the record is what we sound like in a room. So
All
I'm
we
proud
can
of
do.
that, you know?
All we can do is put out what we think is good.
All I'll say is let's just hope Skynet doesn't get into the nuclear codes and we're all good.
I think
We are
there's going to
just talking
be,
about that.
I think there's going to be some sort of reckoning when it comes to AI, because no matter how cheap it ends up being, no matter how easy and simple, the thing that it's lacking is authenticity. And you can
Yeah.
only get that from human error and human compassion and being human.
Yeah.
So I think people are gonna start to, you know, clock what is inauthentic and really, I think that it will be a time where like that lazy sort of thing is the norm for a little bit, but I think it's just gonna be, you know, our responsibility to kind of seek out the real deal. You know what I mean? And I hope that enough people do that to the point where it shows people who are utilizing this stuff to, you know, stop.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think people are just excited about it.
No, I get it. I get it.
No,
That's
right.
why
Innovation is cool, but I think
but they're gonna get
people-
tired of it. You know,
Exactly.
I agree. At the end of the day, you can't replicate any of that fake stuff. You know, if you go see a band in a club, you're gonna know if they're legit or not. So, you know, I hope that never goes away. And unfortunately, a big portion of venues and clubs have closed, at least, you know, where we are.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. You know, COVID didn't help, but even before that, you know, it's just the live music scene isn't what it was. But I hope that it's kind of underground again in a way. But that's where like rock and
That's
metal
where it
started. So life is a cycle, you know.
Yeah.
That's what our whole, you know, we are the alternative news, but let's keep in mind that that was, you know, the coined phrase from the 90s. But yeah, we're, you know, we do punk rock and we go out and, you know, find these small bands that nobody knows anything about and we report on them. And that's, you know, I thought, well, we do that here, but how is that like helping us on a, you know, bigger level? And then there are bands, you know, that like you guys that deserve to be featured that could be doing that too. And we don't want to just hear music from here. I mean, I've never been one to limit myself on, you know, on listening to people's art. And so I think it's cool to be able to reach all the way out to you guys, you know, from Indiana all the way to you, to be able to share who you guys are and your music with our readers and our listeners.
You can take inspiration from anywhere and everywhere, sometimes where you least expect it. So never limit yourself and always keep those doors open. You never know.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about? Do you guys have any shows that you want to kind of
Absolutely.
Quite a few.
we got a few shows coming up. The stuff that we have out. We're going to be playing Katie's in Smithtown on January 15th. We're working on some other dates. We're going to be announcing them later next week, give or take. Probably right before Christmas, give or take, depending if the schedule goes. But follow us on Instagram at Ryder_NY, Facebook.com/RyderBandNY as well for all updates and everything. Stream Southbound, stream Queen Viper's Kiss, searches on Spotify.
When I open
Um,
video coming
Yeah,
out.
we just shot a music video for our third upcoming single. So
Yeah.
that's going to come out
Yeah.
in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
January 10th, right?
January 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So third single comes out January 10th, album comes out January 31st, and then we're off to the races.
Heck yeah. So everybody needs to be on the lookout because these guys
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This
Doing
music,
some big
this
things.
music video is going to kick ass. We spent all
Yeah.
day shooting it. The guy Bruce that we worked with absolutely killed it. It's gonna be
Yes.
awesome. So
Yeah, I want to give an extra shout out to Bruce
Yeah.
because we were in a really big pickle. The first videographer we got, it fell through, and we had less than a week to find a new guy. Otherwise, we were going to have to delay everything. So the fact that he was available the week of and
Really
got
great
us the
job.
video within a few days, like it's incredible. So shout out to Bruce.
yeah,
That's super lucky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's God sent, seriously.
and he kicked ass.
And he kicked ass, and it was awesome.
Nice. Is there anything else that you guys want people to know about you or that you want to share with us before we go?
If you like rock and roll, listen to us, follow us, come see us. You won't regret it.
Support.
Absolutely.
We'll buy you a
Awesome.
beer, maybe.
We'll buy you.
Play tap water, definitely.
Oh, Yeah. And hey, if you guys decide to come through Indiana, just hit me up and we can always plug your show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sure we
Sounds
will.
like a plan.
It'd be awesome. Thanks, guys. It was
Thanks
super
Thank
nice
you
to
so
meet
much,
you.
Amanda.
Thanks.
Have a great night.
Right.